a question for you. Should you report people who break quarantine rules? Well, Border Force has fined just 9 people who should have been isolating after returning home from blacklisted countries.
So instead, should it be up to the public to police each other? Would you dob in a neighbour who'd gone back to work before they should have? How about a friend or family member who's broken the rules?
Well, here with us now to talk about this is Linda Lusardi. She and her husband were hospitalised and very, very sick with COVID-19 back in April. Linda says it's the job of the police to stop those who flout the rules and wouldn't do it.
And columnist Liz Jones, who says she would happily report a neighbour who is putting others at risk. Let's come first to you, Linda. I mean, you know all too well how this deadly pandemic affects so many of us. Isn't it a responsibility? We are here to look out for each other. We've all got to take some responsibility. We are protecting one another. And the rules can be very confusing. People need reminding. Isn't it all our responsibility to call out flouting when we see it?
Well, in my opinion, that, you know, the people that you know have been on holiday are going to be your friends or your neighbours or your family, and you're not about to call the police on them. And I think there's enough unrest out there at the moment with, you know, you hear of stabbings and all sorts every day. The last thing you want to be doing is dobbing your neighbours in, because who knows, you're going to need them. I mean, my neighbours were invaluable to me when I was in hospital. They were bringing food to my son, who was here on his own. You know, I may well say to have a word with them, but I wouldn't be calling the police on them. I don't think we should be in that state at the moment where we're turning on each other. You know, we're not in a nanny state here, and I just think you know, people need to police themselves.
Yeah, I mean that is the problem, isn't it? You know, I mean, Liz, we need to all be in this together, don't we? And if you see someone flouting the rules, actually turning them over to the authorities effectively, that's not going to create the community spirit, Linda would argue, that we need to get through this.
Oh, no, I mean, I understand Linda, you know, has really nice neighbours, but, you know, we're all in this together. And I went into a shop the other day and there was a sign on the door saying, please don't enter if you have a temperature, and there's stickers on the floor and a perspex screen. And I was wearing a mask, and the shop assistant went to get my carrier bag, licked his finger to open it. So I said, you know, you just licked your finger, and he got really cross and he said, I'm fed up with people being rude to me. So I called his manager. So yeah, I did dob him in, because his only excuse was it's a habit. We've got to have new habits. And how are we possibly going to get through this if not everyone plays by the rules? You know, this whole thing about holidaymakers coming back and having to go into 2-week quarantine, they shouldn't be going on holiday anyway. It's people coming back from skiing that started all of this. People shouldn't go skiing. People shouldn't go to Spain for 2 weeks. It's a luxury going on holiday. It's not a necessity.
Linda, you've been so closely touched by this. I'm hoping you're feeling better now, actually. I know we spoke when you were more ill. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. You know, I'm still not back to 100%. You know, I've had quite a lot of hair loss, and Sam's had palpitations and so on. But you just don't know what the long-term effects are going to be of this terrible, terrible illness. You know, I hope that in years to come it doesn't affect our lifespan, and, you know, that we have heart trouble or whatever. It's still so much of this illness is unknown, the after effects.
Absolutely, it is indeed. And did you ever find out how you caught it? I'm asking you, by the way, because I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? Unless you've been directly touched by it, there's a sense that we don't know how to catch it. So people start to feel, well, I'm fine, or, oh, I don't need to follow the rules because I've been careful, or whatever. So therefore, maybe someone like yourself saying to them, you know, you are breaking the rules, is a way of everybody getting a sense of the potential horror.
Well, I caught it from Sam. Sam had been at lots of meetings all over the country, but he'd been to a holiday resort to do business. He was sat in the cafeteria and he thinks he caught it there. So, I do worry about, well, we know that the situation in pubs that, there was 35 people caught it or more from the pub in Aberdeen. I do think large groups of people, especially in this hot weather, I know that the virus doesn't like hot weather, but you're sweating, you're perspiring, you're touching things with sweaty hands. You've got to be really careful. It's a very, very easy virus to catch, and it's, you just don't want to get it unless you have to. Well, you don't have to, but you really don't want to get it. It's it's life-threatening, as you well know, Kate.
Liz, I mean, some people might think reporting your neighbour or family member might be a step too far, but should we at least be having those conversations and not be afraid to explain the rules to people, remind people of what they should and shouldn't be doing, not necessarily reporting them to the police?
Yeah, so that's what I did in the shop, and I very loudly and vocally said you should not be licking your finger, and hopefully he won't be doing that again. But we all need to be less afraid of sticking up for ourselves and sticking up for each other. So hopefully will have a sort of a knock-on effect. And this whole idea that people are going to come back from holiday and ignore the rules is just ridiculous. I don't want to get it. I don't want people I love to get it. And speak up. If you see someone doing something wrong, talk to them, tell them, confront them, and wear your mask.
OK. Liz Jones, thanks very much for joining us this morning. Columnist at the Mail on Sunday, journalist, of course, and Linda Lusardi, thanks for joining us.